The Trump regime is planning a false flag attack on Key West, Florida, Guantanamo Bay, and U.S. warships near the Caribbean. This is official, by the way. Axios is reporting that the U.S. is eyeing attack drone threats from Cuba, and allegedly, by the way, Axios is completely state controlled, but allegedly that Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and has recently begun discussing plans to use them to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. military vessels, and possibly Key West, Florida, which is 90 miles north of Havana. And now I need to stress this to you. No, they're not. Okay, the Cubans do not have attack drones. The Cubans are in such a terrible economic position right now due to the American blockade of oil moving into the country that they are starving to death. They literally don't have the fuel for food. They don't have the fuel to keep their country operating. The power grid is fucked. The only places that even have power are like hotels that are privately run by non-Cuban businesses so that American tourists can go there. These are the ones where, like, if you go to Cuba, you legally have to stay in these ones, because if you stay in any Cuban-controlled ones, the U.S. government claims that you are aiding and abetting a domestic terror, or not a domestic, but a terrorist threat. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous, and we're going to talk about how this is the most blatant false flag attempt I have seen yet. It's much like Operation Northwoods. If you don't know, JFK was proposed a secret CIA operation called Operation Northwoods, where the United States government would attack our own cities, and we would pretend and claim that it was Cubans who were doing that in order to initiate a full-scale invasion of Cuba. But granted, that would have started World War III. This was back when the Soviets had like 60,000 troops on the island. And JFK, he said, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to shatter the CIA into a million pieces. So then the CIA responded by shattering JFK's head into a million pieces. So that's the point that we're at right now. Yeah, large part of this is the Cuban Missile Crisis. On top of that, Donald Trump went on an insane tirade on Truth Social last night, posting pictures, AI generated, of course, but pictures of him with aliens, pictures of him in like a lunar base, clicking a red button and nuking the entirety of the planet Earth. I wish I was joking about this stuff, but I'm not. Just absolutely diabolical stuff. At the same time, the Justice Department is announcing a nearly $2 billion fund, taxpayer funds, your money that will be reallocated to the January 6th insurrectionists and any of Trump's loyalists who feel like they have been I guess, what's the word, like targeted illegally by the government. So you are going to be paying January 6th insurrectionists. We're going to watch a little bit of Harry Enton. We're going to watch a little bit of J.D. Vance. We have a lot to talk about, especially this, the Rededicate 250, which was just a festival of blasphemy, a 9-hour-long blasphemy festival that was held outside of the White House, where they literally had a pastor coming in on here saying that, like, oh, God promised us a ballroom. And on the 91,350th day, God granted us a ballroom. I'm not kidding about that. A lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to dive right in, but before we do, I want to remind you, hi, how are you? I'm Chris Valenti. Welcome to the Valenti VOD. This is real independent media. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, a government, a billionaire, a sponsor, any of that jazz, right? So if you do want to support this channel financially, there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could buy merch like the posters behind me. We also have mugs. We got hoodies, stickers, shirts, all that jazz. That's located down below. You can click the thanks button down below to tip me directly. You can click the join button down below to become a member of the channel, and you can donate on Patreon, $1 a month, $2 a month, $5 a month, whatever you want to donate. It goes a very long way, and I greatly appreciate every single person who has ever given a single shekel to this channel. You keep the lights on, you keep the channel growing, you keep independent media growing, and that is the most important thing we can do in this dog shit political climate where nobody trusts mainstream media. So, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, helps me immensely. Without further ado, we're going to start by diving into Trump's Truth Social tirade. So we're going to start off with this from 23 hours ago. Democrats love sewage. Okay. A nice AI-generated picture of Donald Trump, as we know. Here is an AI-generated picture of Donald Trump pressing a red button in some sort of space base, launching multiple nuclear weapons across the entirety of planet Earth. That's incredibly reassuring. Here is him leading his galactic army and the United States Space Force, so that's something. Some stupid bullshit about the fucking Iranian Navy, which we have not destroyed. Bye-bye fast boats. Bink, bink, gone. Him shooting his laser beams. Venezuela's at 51st state. Gavin Newsom in a padded room. Here's a picture of Donald Trump in Area 51 with the men in black with an alien who is, I guess this is supposed to be, he's under arrest with his hands bound, but his hands are not bound. Yeah. Yeah, the president of the United States is an absolute fucking madman. That should not be news to you. What else? Some random Hakeem Jeffries shit bullshit about the fucking the reflecting pool, length of wars. He's still, by the way, he has posted this like 4 weeks in a row now, and it still only says 6 weeks, despite the fact that we are approaching day 90, which would be 3 months into this war. Some shit with J.B. Pritzker, AI-generated slopaganda, more of the Space Force, more of nuking the entire planet. This is every country in the Middle East invading Iran with the American flag on top of it. Some bullshit about Thomas Massie, who he despises because Thomas Massie worked with Ro Khanna to get the Epstein files released. You know how it is. Here's one. This one's actually kind of funny. Or it's not funny because this is the president of the United States, but it's funny because of how much of a baby back bitch he is. If Iran surrenders, admits their navy is gone and resting at the bottom of the sea, and their air force is no longer with us, and if their entire military walks out of Tehran, weapons dropped and hands held high, each shouting, I surrender, while wildly waving the representative white flag, and if their entire remaining leadership signs all necessary documents of surrender and admits their defeat to the great power and force of the magnificent USA, the failing New York Times, the China Street Journal, Wall Street Journal, corrupt and now irrelevant CNN, and all other members of the fake news media will headline that Iran had a masterful and brilliant victory over the United States of America. It wasn't even close. The Democrats and media have totally lost their way. They have gone absolutely crazy, President DJT. So again, this is him having a little temper tantrum, shitting in his fucking adult diaper over the fact that there are journalists who are willing to accurately report the news and, just to discuss the verified fact, which is we have already lost the war in Iran. So let's see, what else do we got here? How far do I have to scroll? This website is such dog shit. The worst congressman in the long storied history of the Republican Party is Thomas Massie. He is an obstructionist and a fool. Vote him out of office tomorrow, Tuesday. It will be a great day for America, President DJT. A whole bunch of these AI-generated endorsements, which he does all the time. Highly respected senator, highly respected former chairman. Congressman Mike Rogers doing a fantastic job. Congressman Ron Anderson, tremendous. It's my great honor. Fantastic. MAGA warrior, strong advocate. Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Oh, highly respected. Oh, tremendous champion. It's all AI-generated dog shit, okay? And I do believe that most of what he posts is AI-generated, except for the stuff where he's crashing out in the middle of the night, posting AI-generated images of him bombing or nuking the entire planet. So much of these AI-generated endorsements, you can't even make it up. I do wonder how much it costs to get one of these. This one is relatively important too. I have been asked by the Emir of Qatar, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, and the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, to hold off our planned military attack of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was scheduled for tomorrow, in that serious negotiations are now taking place, and that, in their opinion, as great leaders and allies, a deal will be made which will be very acceptable to the United States of America as well as countries in the Middle East and beyond. This deal will include, importantly, no nuclear weapons for Iran. Pause. No, it doesn't. The Iranians have said multiple times, and they reiterated it yesterday, that they will have negotiations with the Americans, but they will in no way, shape, or form discuss anything regarding nuclear enrichment or nuclear weapons, because the Americans and the Israelis, the axis of Epstein, have proven time and time again that they are not negotiating in good faith, and they absolutely refuse to do so. Let's see if we can go back again, because this website is such dog shit. See, you click the back arrow and literally nothing happens. You have to wait for a solid 15 fucking seconds because of how pathetically dog shit this stupid fucking website is. Hands are off right now, I promise you. I'm doing nothing, man. You hit that fucking back arrow to go back to where you were and nothing happens. Nothing happens. It is such fucking dog shit. Let's just refresh the fucking window here. Oh, he posted something else just now, 1 minute ago.
I hope you're going to put him out of business tomorrow. I'm in the Oval Office, and we're in a fight against the worst congressman in the history of our country. His name is Thomas Massie. He's from Kentucky. I hope you're going to...
Yo, this is AI generated. Yo, I'm not kidding. This is AI generated. He doesn't talk at this speed anymore. He used to talk at this speed, but he does not talk at the speed and the hand. I'm not kidding. This is 1000% an AI generated video. This is actually an AI generated video.
Put him out of business tomorrow. He is so bad. Got an election coming up. He's running against a great guy, a great patriot, Ed Gilrain. He's fantastic.
This is AI generated. I am 1000% certain I would go to court over this. This is an AI generated video. That's not him.
But forget that. Massey's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good.
What's funny about that is Thomas Massie has voted alongside the Republican Party about 99% of the time. The only time he ever didn't is when it was about the Epstein files.
Values. So get rid of Thomas Massie.
This is AI generated. This is 100% AI generated. What is this from 24 minutes ago? In Maryland, they sent out 500,000 illegal mail-in ballots, and they got caught. So now they're going to send out 500,000 more mail-in ballots, but nobody knows what's happening with the first 500,000 they sent. In addition, many of these ballots went to Democrats, so any Republican running in Maryland doesn't have a chance. This was done by the corrupt governor of the state, Wes Moore. He allowed this to happen in order to make sure the Democrats win. It never made sense to me that Maryland was considered an automatic Democrat state, but now I see why. I'm sure this has gone on for years. I'm going to ask the Attorney General of the United States and the DOJ to bring an immediate investigation into the situation. President Donald J. Trump. Oh, Jesus. All right, let's move on to some real shit here. The false flag attack that is coming to the United States of America. Exclusive from Axios. U.S. eyes attack drone threat from Cuba. This is complete bullshit. Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and recently began discussing plans to use them to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, U.S. military vessels, and possibly Key West, Florida, 90 miles north of Havana, according to classified intelligence shared with Axios. So I'm not saying that Axios did not get this intelligence shared with them. I'm saying is that the classified intelligence is all bullshit. That's all a lie, and they are using Axios to manufacture consent for a U.S. invasion of Cuba. Why it matters. The intelligence, which could become a pretext for U.S. military action, shows the degree to which the Trump regime sees Cuba as a threat because of developments in drone warfare and the presence of Iranian military advisors in Havana, a senior U.S. official said. Quote, "When we think about those types of technologies being that close and a range of bad actors from terror groups to drug cartels to Iranians to the Russians, it's concerning." Jesus Christ, this is just the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis. This is the Cuban drone crisis. That'll be the name of the thumbnail. The Cuban drone crisis. That's what this is, bro. They are replaying the oldies. They're pulling an Operation Northwoods. If you don't know, let me pull this up for you. Operation Northwoods. See if we can get this on Wikipedia here. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation which originated within the Department of Defense of the U.S. government in 1962. The proposals called for the CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of terrorism against U.S. military and civilian targets, blame them on the Cuban government, and use them to justify a war against Cuba. The possibilities detailed in the document included the remote control of civilian aircraft. Remote-controlled civilian aircraft sounds remarkably similar to drones, which would be secretly repainted as U.S. Air Force planes, a fabricated shoot-down of the U.S. Air Force fighter aircraft off the coast of Cuba, and the possible assassination of Cuban immigrants, sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas, exploding a U.S. ship, and orchestrating terrorism in U.S. cities. The proposals were rejected by U.S. President John F. Kennedy. And then the CIA, along with Mossad, assassinated John F. Kennedy so that they could get their way and continue the war in Vietnam, which he was inching towards trying to find a resolution rather than continuing it. So it seems like the United States government is trying to replay Operation Northwoods, and now that they have a fat-bodied fascist pedophile in the White House, Donald J. Trump, he won't stand up to the CIA. He'll allow them to move through with Operation Northwoods 2, Electric Boogaloo. Let's keep reading. CIA Director John Ratcliffe traveled to Cuba on Thursday and bluntly warned officials there against engaging in hostilities. He also urged them to scrap their totalitarian government to end crippling U.S. sanctions, a CIA official told Axios. So we're trying to do regime change here. Director Ratcliffe made clear that Cuba can no longer serve as a platform for adversaries to advance hostile agendas in our hemisphere, which is ironic because we are the adversary that is advancing hostile agendas in their hemisphere. See, this is not my hemisphere. This is not your hemisphere. This is not the American hemisphere. This is simply the Western hemisphere. We exist here, and so does Cuba. We are the ones who are using our military to exact colonial conquest, to invade sovereign nations and kidnap their sovereign leader. We are the ones who are bombing indiscriminately random boats in the Caribbean and slaughtering fishermen that are not narco-terrorists. And even if they were narcos, you cannot just extrajudicially murder them on the high seas. You can board them, you can detain them, and you can try them in a court of law, but you can't just execute them. Let's see, the Western Hemisphere cannot be our adversary's playground. So this is just a cute way of saying the United States of America must hold dominion over every last square inch of land in the Western Hemisphere. This is what they would call the Monroe Doctrine, a combination of Donald Trump's fascism and the Monroe Doctrine. Now, see, the Monroe Doctrine says that it is our duty to protect the Western Hemisphere, and I would agree. It is our duty to protect the Western Hemisphere. We live here. But it is not our right or our obligation to conquer the Western Hemisphere. You see what I'm saying? Because then the Monroe Doctrine would be about protecting the Western Hemisphere from us. If we are going to be using our military to just stomp around the Western Hemisphere, then the Monroe Doctrine would be used to defend it from ourselves. On Wednesday, the Department of Justice plans to unseal an indictment of Cuba's de facto leader, Raul Castro, a 90-year-old man, by the way, for allegedly ordering the 1996 downing of two planes flown by a Miami-based aid group called Brothers to the Rescue. More sanctions targeting the island nation could be announced this week. So we are absolutely going to invade Cuba, and we're probably going to stage a false flag attack on the United States of America. Zoom in. Cuba has been acquiring attack drones, quote, of varying capabilities from Russia and Iran since 2023 and has stashed them in strategic locations across the island, U.S. officials say. Again, this is a lie. This is bullshit. The Cubans do not have attack drones, and they certainly do not have the wherewithal to attack the United States of America. They know this. They would get decimated. So this is a patent false. It's a lie. It's a lie. This is a patent falsehood. A blatant fucking lie. The CIA is lying to you. Granted, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. You cannot believe a single word from the United States government as long as Donald Trump is in power. This is verified fact. They have lied to you the entire time. The Central Command lying, the CIA lying, the FBI lying. They're all lying. They will never tell you the truth. So when the United States government tells you something is true, the opposite is true. When the United States government tells you something is false, it is true. Okay? That's the reality of this world that you live in. You can't. I unironically trust the Cubans, the Iranians, and the Chinese more than I trust the United States government, okay? Let's see, what else? Within the past month, Cuban officials have sought more drones and military equipment from Russia, the senior U.S. official said. The officials cited intelligence intercepts that also indicated Cuban intelligence officials are, quote, trying to learn about how Iran has resisted us. Russia and China have high-tech espionage facilities for collecting, quote, signals intelligence, called SIGINT in Cuba. Quote, we have long been concerned that a foreign adversary would use that kind of location that close to our shores is highly problematic. This is, oh my God, dude, this is the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is the whole Bay of Pigs invasion, or I guess when we do this today, it'll be called the Bay of Hogs, right? Because we got a whole bunch of fucking fat-bodied hog people in charge of the United States government, but it's looking like we're gonna do the Bay of Pigs 2, Electric Boogaloo, and Operation Northwoods will finally come to fruition. Absolute nightmare shit. Absolute nightmare. Cuba's embassy did not initially reply to the Axios inquiry for comment, but later issued in a written statement on X that it did not deny that it possessed attack drones. Quote, like any other country, Cuba has the right to defend itself against external aggression. It is called self-defense and is protected by international law and the UN Charter. Those from the U.S. who seek the submission and, in fact, the destruction of the Cuban nation through military aggression and war do not waste a single moment fabricating pretexts, creating and spreading falsehoods, and distorting as extraordinary the logical preparation required to face such potential aggression. Big picture, the concerns about drone attacks on U.S. forces have been heightened by Iran's use of the unmanned aircraft in its response to the U.S. attacks that began on February 28th. So, war will expand, we will invade Cuba, and we will attack our own territory with our own drones and then claim it was Cuba. So just so you know, when this does happen, when the mainstream media tells you Cuban attack drones bomb Key West, Florida, just remember, I told you preemptively, this is not real. This is the United States government and probably Israel at the same time. Okay, one other thing I wanted to show you was Trump posted this. For Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence, President DJT. So this is now the 11th time that Donald J. Trump has threatened to nuke Iran, okay? This is now the 11th time. I want to move on to this story here. The Justice Department announces a $1.7 billion fund to compensate Trump allies in a deal to drop the IRS lawsuit. So if you don't know, Trump, I think he tried to sue the IRS for something like $20 billion. And he is settling that lawsuit with a $1.7 billion taxpayer-funded slush fund that Trump can then use to pay all of the people that he deems to be loyalists that have been, according to him, unjustifiably targeted by his own DOJ, right? So what this means is everybody who was part of the January 6th insurrection, they're going to receive your money. Every Republican congressman, they are going to receive your money. The Trump family, they are going to receive your money. Your tax dollars are going to go to Trump loyalists who feel wronged by the Department of Justice. Let's get a look here.
Really, the report should be Donald Trump is setting up a $1.7 billion political slush fund for the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and his other political lieutenants and hangers-on. That's an absolute violation of congressional spending power. Congress never voted for $1.7 billion for him to give away to his friends. That didn't happen, and we never would. If he thinks that we would vote for that, submit it as a bill.
It's so cute when congressmen think that they have power. Like, dude, Jamie Raskin, I'm not trying to be rude to you, but do you think that even if you guys did have a vote on this and you voted no, that would stop him? He's a fascist dictator. He doesn't even need congressional approval to wage a fucking war in Iran and threaten to nuke them, bro. He doesn't give a fuck about you. You need to wake up to reality, Congressman Raskin. You are a baby back bitch with no power. And the reason why I'm calling you a baby back bitch is because you are contractually obligated to stop this man from violating the Constitution, but you seemingly just sit on your fucking thumb and do nothing. Like, why do you think that we're supposed to be impressed by you standing up like this and using words and having conversations? No, drag that motherfucker out of the Oval Office by his fucking earlobe. And if Secret Service stands in the way, deal with it.
Which is how you get an appropriation in the United States government. So it's utterly fraudulent what they're doing there. They're prostituting what's called the judgment fund. So they gave $1.25 million to his disgraced former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. They gave $1.25 million to Carter Page. Those guys both went to court and lost in court. And now they want to turn around and give them money for claims that have already collapsed legally. That is a political slush fund. That's extremely dangerous. And now they want to do it with $1.7 billion. And they want to give Donald Trump complete control over it. He's going to have a board, and he has complete control over the people, and they can be fired at any time, he's emphasized. You know, we've got to get just a handful of Republicans to work with us to reclaim the integrity of the U.S. government.
No, bro, even if you did get Republican congressmen to work alongside you and you voted down everything he wanted, he would still follow through with it because he has motion, because he is a fascist, because he does not respect the rule of law. You need to wake up to the reality that we are already in a civil war and only one side is fighting, the Republicans. That's the reality. We are in a civil war right now, but only one side is training, arming themselves, and fighting. It's the Republicans. The Democrat establishment is just preemptively being submissive. Like, they're so scared. It's pathetic.
And to see to it that he's not going to run off with all of our money, because we're talking about billions of dollars here.
Brother, he's going to run off with all of your money. That's the reality. All right, I want to watch a little bit of Harry Enton talking about the flaring financial unease among Americans. Let's speed him up, too.
President Trump says he is not thinking at all about Americans' financial well-being when it comes to the war in Iran. And he says he meant it. This weekend, he called that a perfect statement. But new polling shows that Americans don't really feel his work on the economy is perfect. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Etten. So not perfect at all when you compare their feelings about what Trump will do to the economy a few years ago to now.
Yeah, you know, the promise of a Trump presidency in the minds of the American people have turned into a reality, and a reality that for them is a nightmare. Because just take a look here. Okay, Trump will or is making you financially worse off, better off. Back in October of 2024, the reason why he won a second term, 44% said better off, outrunning the worse off at 38%. But look at
now Donald Trump says that the word affordability is a Democrat hoax. I'm not kidding about that. He literally said that the Democrat Party created the word affordability.
Numbers down through the floor on the better off now, just 14%. Just 14%. I see Johnny off on the side shaking his head. Trump making them financially better off. Meanwhile, the worse off up like a rocket. The clear majority now, 57% of Americans now say that Trump is making them financially.
Look at that swap, bro. Before he was elected, 44% of Americans thought they were going to be better off financially. And now that he's been the president for about, almost 2 years, 57% of Americans know that they are worse off financially because of him.
Financially worse off. You know, back in 1980, Ronald Reagan asked, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? As America's look back now, compared to a year and a half ago, their minds on Donald Trump are definitely saying he's made them worse off.
I mean, look at that drop, a 30-point drop in a couple of years. And if you think 14% is low.
Yeah, if you think 14% is low, how low can you go? Well, how about this? Okay, Trump Willer is making you financially worse off, better off among independents.
Jesus
look at this.
Christ. 64% of independents know that they are worse off financially, and only 8% say that they're better off. Brother, the independents are like the ones who kind of won the election for Donald Trump. Those are the ones who were like, I guess I'll vote for him because Kamala has a weird laugh, right? This is astounding. Granted, if they do this polling among Republicans, I'm willing to bet that the better off is going to be over 50% because Republicans are just cultists.
The better off now is just 8. It's just 8. When you can count it on your hands, you know the number is low. Just 8% say that Trump is making them financially better off among independents. Way, way down from the 40% who said that back in October of 2024 when the better off was outrunning the worse off at 38%. Look at that 38%, again, up like a rocket. I feel like I'm at NASA. Look at this. 64% of independents now say that Trump is making them financially worse off. These are numbers we've seen among independents over and over and over again. They have turned against Trump, and now about two-thirds.
I mean, these independent numbers are staggering. I mean, 8% is not zero,
no,
but it's closer to zero than it is to 50.
That's exactly right. When you're closer to 0% than you are to 50% as a politician, you know your numbers are better.
All right, independents obviously a key swing group. What about some of the groups that were key or have been in the past to Donald Trump's electoral success?
Yeah, normally you want to be winning over independents because the way independents go is the way the nation goes. But you definitely want to be holding on to your base. And of course, one key part of Donald Trump's base is non-college whites, whites without a college degree. And even they are flipping on the president of the United States.
Wow. The uneducated white men, even they, overwhelming majority, know that they're fucked. Dude, I don't understand. This is why I say the only possible way Republicans can win the midterm elections is by stealing it. They have to rig it. It's the only possible way to do it. There isn't enough cultists left standing in this nation in order for Republicans to win. And plus, Republicans, you have to support the Iran war. You have to support cutting Medicaid and Medicare. You have to support gutting pediatric cancer research. You have to support conquering Cuba. These are things that are next to impossible to sell to the American public unless you manufacture consent for years. But this fascist regime doesn't have the patience to do so. And even if they did have the patience to do so, they don't have the smarts to do so. Like, as evil and corrupt as the Bush regime was, they were smart enough to spend years manufacturing consent for the invasion of Iraq before we did it. You know, 9/11 was in 2001. When did we officially invade Iraq? Was it 2003 or 2004? We spent years grooming the population in preparation for that. But these guys, they don't have that patience. They just try and do what would take 10 years. They try to do that in fucking one.
Trump is or will make you financially worse off, better off. Back in October of 2024, look at that, 54% better off, well outpacing worse off at 30%. Now we're looking at basically the inverse. Just 15% say better off among white voters without a college degree. Trump is making them financially better off. And now even there, the majority of non-college whites, a key part of Donald Trump's base, are saying he's making them financially worse off. These are numbers that would make me, if I were a Republican running in the midterm elections, be quite worried.
These numbers are sure telling a story. The question is, it's 1600 Pennsylvania.
So we said the ads on here are getting unbearable. Yeah, dude, like I can't control that, and that is why I don't do ad reads. That's why I don't do sponsorships, is because there's already an insane amount of them on this fucking platform unless you have YouTube Premium. So I'm not going to add any more to you. I'm sorry about that, but that's not my control.
Are they reading it?
According to the Consumer Price Index data, U.S. inflation rose to 3.8% in April. That's the highest rate of inflation in almost 3 years, in part due to the Iran war. Americans are feeling the economic pain. Meanwhile, the stock market has kept going up.
We're not going to watch the rest of this, but yeah, the stock market is going up. The overwhelming majority of Americans are not invested in the stock market, and the stock market is not a reflection of like Americans' pockets. All right, now I want to show you a couple of things here. I want to show you just JD Vance I don't know who wrote his speech, but this is so funny. JD Vance is about to tell you the God's honest truth, and I 100% agree with everything he's about to say. Listen to this.
If you want to rebuild the American dream for the next generation, vote against the crazy leadership in Washington, D.C. Vote for...
Dude, he can't even believe what he just said. You could see the hesitancy when he reads it off the teleprompter, and he's like, wait, I can't fucking say that. Listen.
The American dream for the next generation.
He read that and goes, what? You can't make me say that.
Vote against the crazy leadership in Washington, D.C.
And then vote for, and he probably stopped himself because whatever the rest of that fucking line is so stupid, and this is my talking point. He's doing our job for him. I don't know who the fuck wrote this speech, but I guarantee you they were immediately fired. Listen to this shit again.
If you want to rebuild the American dream for the next generation, vote against the crazy leadership in Washington, D.C.
Hey, JD, who controls all three branches of government? The Republicans, right?
If you want...
All right, take it from JD Vance's mouth. If you want the American dream to come back, vote against the craziness, the crazy leadership currently in Washington, D.C. Thank you, JD Vance. I much appreciate that. All right. Oh, we already covered that post from Trump. Now, this is absolutely insane. I don't know if you know this. We're not going to watch much footage of this because it's just disgusting. There was a 9-hour-long blasphemy festival outside of the White House a couple of days ago, and that's quite literally all it was. It was like it was straight out of The Boys. It was like an episode out of The Boys. It was a whole bunch of evangelical Christians praying to Donald Trump as their God and saying that God sent him and he is the Messiah. And then they brought up this pastor here who says that God actually sent this ballroom. You're never going to believe this.
It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years.
Oh yeah, because I forgot that in the Bible, you know, it says that on the 91,350th day, God created the ballroom. Listen to this shit one more time, and I know a lot of you watching this are Christian. I want you to see how your faith has been hijacked by literal demon fascists.
It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand.
Dude, like Christians in this chat, like, I don't understand how you guys are not, like, with pitchforks in hand storming the Capitol. These motherfuckers have desecrated your entire religion. And I would like to point out the similarities between the way that this man is acting and the way that the Israeli leadership acts, right? The Israeli leadership have nothing to do with Judaism. None of their actions reflect the teachings of Judaism. Meanwhile, they cling on to anti-Semitism as much as they can because, as you understand, hopefully, and I'll try to explain this to you, the wealthy elite learned really early on in the 1900s that if they want their fascist ideology known as Zionism to become an impenetrable force, they need to join the fascist ideology of Zionism with the religion of Judaism, right? And it provided them with a perfect scapegoat, which is any criticism of the fascist ideology of Zionism can be labeled as anti-Semitism, right? And what you're seeing is that mindset, but a Christian version of it happening in America, where people like this pastor will claim that by standing against the construction of the ballroom, or by standing against Donald Trump and his fascist tendencies, by standing against the indiscriminate bombing of Iran, you are actually standing against the Lord. You are standing against Christianity. You are standing against the teachings of Christ. You are anti-Christian. And we see this in the NSBM 7 designation and the new counterterrorism protocol, right? These people claim that every action they take is ordained by God, even to the point of the construction of the ballroom was promised by the Lord, and that the Lord had to send us a great man like Donald Trump in order to construct it. I need you to understand that they are actually trying to intrinsically tie Donald Trump's existence to the entire Christian religion. They will claim in 20 to 30 years from now that that the first Messiah was Jesus and the second was Donald Trump. Let's listen one more time.
It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years.
Just absolute blasphemy, absolute idolatry. What does this say? Evangelicals spent 60 plus years screaming about the Antichrist, and then when he showed up, they started wearing his merch. You damn fucking right. I don't believe in the Antichrist. I don't believe in anything in the Bible. I'm not an idiot. But if the Antichrist were real and I was wrong, Donald Trump is the Antichrist, okay? All right, now I want to just give you a little bit of levity. I want to show you Pete Hegseth just so ill-prepared. This is a great reflection of, like, Pete Hegseth the man, okay? This is how he lives his life. Look at how unprepared he was to give this fucking speech. Watch this.
Great to see everybody. It's an honor to be here. No better way to start a week than with soldiers. Truly, it's my honor to be here with you. Humbled to stand in front of great Americans willing to raise their right hand again to serve this nation. And also to be joined in a moment, we're going to do a ceremony for Purple Heart recipients as well. Long overdue for many of them. So I hope folks will stick around on that level also. I won't belabor this too much, but I think part of what we've tried to do at the War Department, and I hope what you've seen and reflected in why you're here today, is just a simple back to basics.
Motherfucker needs a goddamn Wind Waker, okay? A little up, left, down, right, and change the direction of the wind. It is so fucking stupid. It is so fucking funny. You see the wind blowing Trump's fake hair around? No, but I did see one picture about this. Wind blows Trump's hair. Oh my God, is this a real fucking photo? Oh my, if this is this is real, apparently. Holy ever loving fuck. Holy fuck, dude. Jesus Christ. Okay, more here. The last thing I want to show you is Lindsey Graham, the closeted homosexual warmongering fascist who has never met a dick or a war that he didn't fully support. This is him calling for Donald Trump to commit more war crimes, just blatantly and confidently saying that he supports committing war crimes.
Top of the list.
So you're calling for strikes on the energy infrastructure?
By the way, what she's saying, strikes on energy infrastructure, that is all civilian infrastructure. All of that constitutes a war crime. We're talking about like power plants and water desalination plants and bridges. We're talking about civilian infrastructure here. Okay, let's play it.
Top of the list.
So you're calling for strikes on the energy infrastructure, Senator?
I'm calling to hurt this regime. If you do the same old thing, you're going to get the same results. Hurt them more. Maybe they'll make a deal if you hurt them enough. But right now, I think they're trying.
Yeah, because that totally worked in Dresden, right? During World War II, when we were like, why don't we firebomb the civilians of Dresden and get them to turn against the Nazi regime? And all we ended up doing was causing a massive influx in enlistment for the survivors of Dresden, right? The people who watched their entire families burned to death. They were like, listen, I had no leg in this game, but now I fucking do. And then they joined the Wehrmacht. They joined the SS. That is exactly what will happen if you start bombing civilian infrastructure across Iran, or continue to do so because you've already began. All you're going to do is turn these young people who were quite secular, you know, they didn't understand why their parents hated America so much. All you're going to do is turn them into the very monster that you're trying to defeat. You know, they call this jihadi math sometimes, or terrorist math, where it's like usually 1 - 1 = 0. But when you're fighting insurgents, or when you're fighting an illegal war of aggression against the people who are trying to defend their homeland, every time you kill one of them, you create 2 more people who will stand against you. It is an unwinnable war.
To wait us out. You hurt them enough. But right now, I think they're trying to wait us out. I think they're playing games. And in the words of the president, I think they're crazy. I think he's right.
Yeah. They're crazy. Not us. Not Donald Trump posting AI-generated images of him nuking the entire planet from a space station. Yeah, no, they're the ones who are unhinged. Not us. Not Donald Trump, who said, tonight an entire civilization will die, never to return. No. They're the crazy ones. Yeah. No. They're the crazy ones. Sure thing. You fucking disgusting piece of shit. Anyway, and then another breaking news, just so you know, as we speak right now, there is a shooting going on at a mosque, I believe in San Diego, California. I don't know. We don't know much details about it. Like, this just happened about like 20 minutes ago, so hopefully nobody gets hurt. Granted, people are going to die. That's the name of the game in America. There's one thing you can guarantee every fucking day, and that is gun violence perpetuated in America, and especially with this new attempt to try and revitalize Islamophobia, which I thought was having a major downturn. I still do think that there is less Islamophobia now than there was in like 2004, 2005, but still they're trying to bring that back. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you're here live, you stay. We got to make a thumbnail. If you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. Do me one last favor. Click that video right over there. It's a banger, and I know bangers.